we go.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Creatives Podcast. And today we have a good podcast ready for you as we are joined by the Burger, aka my boy Danny, from Atlanta Rain, videographer, video production. I'm Mick G Production, videographer, editor, and I'm gonna pass it up to Cluxer.
Oh yeah, I'm Cluxer, also known as Sam. I'm a photographer and color grader for a couple of companies now. Let's pass it on to Colin.
Hey everybody, my name is Colin, aka Colin Designs, because I use my real name, unlike everyone.
Your real name?
Here. I am a advertisement / social media designer. Currently, my most prominent position right now is I'm a freelance creative with Official EGL. So yeah, and I also work with a few other companies and stuff doing advertisement work.
For the main highlight, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Burger.
Oh my gosh, you hype beast. What's up, everybody? I'm the Burger. I use my real name. It's just my first and last name smushed together.
Okay,
so I'm not as cool as Colin.
That's why they pay him. That's why they pay him.
Well, I used to go by the Danny Burger, but then somebody said that was a little too pompous. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I went with my best friend's nickname. Anywho, I'm the director of content for the Atlanta Rain by day, content creator by night. Basically, I just create content all the time. Thank you guys for having me, though. I'm super stoked.
Absolutely. Well,
we're happy to have you.
Podcast.
First guest, so no pressure, right? Don't make us
no
look
pressure.
bad,
No. I'm gonna set that bar super low for your next one.
You're gonna make everyone else look good.
I'm gonna make everybody look like a star, man. That's what I do best.
We can only go up then, Like
yeah, exactly.
I like that, So you said ATL Rain. We of course know who ATL Rain is for Overwatch. We'll say Overwatch very calmly. So why don't you explain, what do you actually do for them?
Yeah, so as a director of content, my job is to develop and execute on any sponsor deliverables, creative series ideas. So everything from our docu-series Rain Rising, or Rain Returning this year. So Rain Rising was our first docu-series. Rain Returning follows the players week by week, giving them updates on the matches with the in-depth look at what they do. And I also handle all of the sponsored deliverables. So we work with McDonald's, for example, is one of our sponsors. So I get to be on the phone with them talking about what they want in our partnership. So we do, the golden moment of the week is an example of that. So my job is to literally pitch the creative ideas to them. They go through them. We discuss what they want out of the creative idea, and then we execute upon those. So I do it everything from pre-production all the way through post. And sometimes I handle the distribution on social media. That's the TLDR of what I do.
So the real thing he does is he makes them look pretty. That's
I make the geeky gamer guys look good and marketable.
Hey, I mean that's a hard thing to do. So props, I think.
It is very difficult sometimes. No, we have I'm very, very fortunate with the players that I work with every single day, because I think we have one of the most camera friendly players. Like, they love being on camera. They're also just characters. Like, they troll on Twitter and stuff. So my job is actually pretty easy when they pop off during the weeks that they do pop off.
I mean, I know we've had many discussions the Overwatch thing, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. We'll bring it up definitely in the later stage, maybe before we go. I think it would be a great thing to end it on. But I want to know you, Danny. Explain yourself, right? A New Jersey boy in ATL. Like, how does that even happen?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
man. Backstory. Give us the
yeah, okay. So like my origin story, like where we came from, where we got started.
Marvel movie,
Marvel movie. So if I was a Marvel movie, basically I was born in like middle of nowhere, New Jersey, super old town. I worked retail. I went to school I was an acting major in school, actually. Wanted to be on TV, Hollywood, all that good stuff. When you're going through college as an acting major, everybody tells you to have a plan B. My plan B was to hold a video camera in the hopes that somebody would hold it for me and I could jump in front, make my Starlight debut. That never happened. While I was going through school for acting, I started my own video production company called Heroic Heathens. It doesn't exist anymore. And basically all I did was make commercials for doctors on public television, because doctors have a lot of money. They don't know what videos look good. And I was like a new editor, so none of my videos looked very good. But I had a camera from high school and I could film them sitting in a chair talking about their practice. And they paid me lots and lots of money to make videos for them. So that's kind of how I got into videography. I was doing that. I was working in some retail, some waiting gigs. And then I was working in DC when I put in my 2 weeks, and the day after I put in my 2 weeks, somebody approached me with a posting for a collegiate esports job. They needed a content director. And so I applied for that. And it turned out that one of the professors at the college, his daughter was new to Twitch. And she found one of my SEO experiments, how to grow on Twitch 2017, like sent me 50,000 views or whatever, because I titled and tagged it correctly. So he recognized me from YouTube, put in a good word. I went through a pretty stringent interview process. And then I developed a content program for one of the top 10 collegiate programs in the United States, which was really, really cool because that was, 2 years ago now? And this was one of the first 10 schools, I think, in the nation to really put collegiate esports on the map. It was really, really cool because I was in with the Maryvilles and the Harrisburgs. We were part of that, the UCLAs of collegiate. So the founding college programs. It was a lot of fun. And now they have students that took it over and they run that whole program now.
Very nice. I see you keep bringing up the collegiate thing. So let's talk about this 1st, right? Let's have this discussion, because when I think collegiate, I'm thinking just colleges, universities in general. We don't have really collegiate programs in terms of, hey, let's play this game, or let's set up a team. Ours is hey, give us $10,000 and we'll give you an esport degree. Love them esport degrees that teach absolutely nothing. So explain to us, what is a collegiate program?
Yeah, so basically, a collegiate program in my eyes is any collegiate school. They can or cannot offer scholarships. I prefer if they offer scholarships. Again, you have to incentivize students to come. And if you're going to take, if college is going to be as expensive as it is, give back to people who previously wouldn't have gone to college, aka gamers. And they should compete in some sort of, big title, right? Overwatch, Call of Duty, Fortnite, I'd even be willing to put on there, Smash Brothers. So any team that really just competes, because it builds brand recognition for your college, and it also helps you develop young professionals for the future of esports, right? So the reason why I'm focusing so hard on collegiate right now is because there's a huge gap in education when it comes to working in the esports industry, right? So right now we're in this time where the people who are building these teams have a lot of money, but very, very little experience touching a video game, right? They were busy making money, right? And then you have people like me who were not busy making money, but were busy making content or playing games, right? So you have this gap now where you have to fill these skill sets that don't necessarily exist. And we're saying, hey, if you pick up a camera, or hey, if you grind a game for enough hours, you can be a pro, right? Which is really just a pipe dream. It's the same thing as saying, hey, you can be a professional actor. It's very, very difficult. But because it's so new and there's that sex appeal to it, right? It's sexy to be, in esports now. People think it's just easy, and it's not. So collegiate it's the opportunity to nurture those skill sets, whether you want to be a pro gamer, a content creator, graphic designer, marketing, whatever you want to do. Collegiate's where you're going to start that journey. And colleges are jumping on esports because it brings them lots and lots of money, right? We had kids apply for the college I worked at just because they had an esports program, right? They were like, I want to be, the top 10 collegiate school, and I don't even play video games. It's just really, really, really cool to have that namesake. And so that's where you got to start educating people and not just misleading them with case studies, right? So when collegiate programs are starting now, the first thing I see in every pitch deck is this is Ninja. He was a pro gamer and became a big streamer and makes millions and millions of dollars. And that's their case study to pitch. And that's what a board of education now is looking at. They're like, oh yeah, that one guy made millions. Imagine if we had 12 players. That's $12 million. Because our case studies, but right? Obviously. So my objective and my mission now for my brand is to start introducing more education into college, which sounds really backwards. They should already have that. But if we're going to keep saying, university and college is super important, get your degree to be successful, then you need to put people with experience into those systems. Because right now, the people running it are board of education who has never touched a video game in their life, and esports consultants. Consultants, very loosely, loose term, or experts.
Very loose, and especially in our industry.
But these are the people getting those jobs right now.
Yeah.
Right? I talk to them every day. I have people who DM me hey, I'm the director of esports at X university. I'm building a program from scratch. How do I get scrimmages in Overwatch for my team? Like, what is
I do not know
Discord?
that.
And I'm like, well, like these, but because they know how to fill their resume with keywords.
Yeah.
They,
Which,
they
I
just
mean,
know how to hit keywords, right?
and I think that also opens up like a very big area that is problematic in I would say our industry especially, right? It's those keywords on CVs or whatever. It almost pushes the people that have like the portfolios, the background, the actual videos to prove whatever downwards, right? And then all of a sudden you have this guy comes out of university, he's like, yeah, I know how to technically set up a camera, I know how to technically shoot my thirds, but
Right.
in
But
terms
they don't
of
have the
projects.
experience.
Well, think
Exactly.
about it, right? So you're starting with an esports director. Like your job is literally to nurture and raise young professionals in this industry. You've never heard of Discord. You've never played a game of Overwatch, but your job now is to lead these young adults, right? Through 4 years of college, hopefully, if they make it, right? But you've never opened Discord. You've never touched a video game. So really all you're doing is saying, hey, come play a video game on my campus and still pay 100 grand a year. And you're going to leave with the same amount of esports experience than you came in with.
They might have
Right.
played Pac-Man or Pong. You never know.
Right. But like, dude, like I'm telling you right now, like any college right now that does like a retro arcade, like competitive team would pop the fuck off.
Yeah.
It's really dumb, right? Don't even need a AAA. You just make a game room with a bunch of game cabinets and start documenting the life of your esports team. And you'd get so many new students that just come to try out
But
for your Pong team,
if you were
which
gonna
sounds
give
stupid.
if you were going to give scholarships, right? Like I have a few problems almost with it. Just thinking about it, because
Mhm.
Call of Duty, to be a professional or to even compete in the amateur bracket, you have to be 18. Okay,
Correct.
so I don't know about Overwatch. I don't know about Well, I know Fortnite. You can be like 13, I think it is now.
So Overwatch, to play in the pro scene, not on the bench, you have to be 16. But
So
you can be scouted. Like we had Sugar Free on our academy team, and we paid him a salary. He was 14 when we picked him up.
So in terms of collegiate, then, right? Like you're picking up young players, right? So you're asking for their portfolio, or like, why should we pick you up on a scholarship? Like, how would you decide on who, right? Because like most of these people, they haven't competed against the best, or they haven't shown off their
Because
skills.
your goal is not to be the best competitive team in the US. Your
Okay.
goal as a collegiate program should never be to get first place trophy every time, right? It's
Mhm.
good. It's good if you want to be like the Maryville University of the US, right? Maryville's really good at what they do,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can go for that, but you need a firm foundation. Maryville, the reason why they're so successful is because they got a director of esports, like really, like he knows his shit, right? Like
Yeah.
he just knows League of Legends. He knows how to get the analysts. He knows how to get like coaches and
That's
players.
Esports Clerky, right?
Yeah, it's Clerky. Clerky's great. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I look up to that guy. Like I met him when I like first year working in esports, right? But the reason why his program's successful is because like he brought in the right people. He brought in experts. He said he looked at the board of education at the college. He said, you need to hire this person at this salary, and we're going to give you a winning competitive team that's well branded and is going to reflect great on your school's mission.
Yeah.
So like your first 5 years as an esports collegiate program, your goal should not be to win trophies. Your goal should just be brand recognition and student onboarding.
Yeah, for sure.
But what's the fastest
So if you're
way to
offering
get brand-
scholar, what's that?
What's the fastest way to get brand recognition other than a first place?
Just fucking get on social media, tweet. Why aren't you on
Make
TikTok?
content.
Make fucking content. Like literally document your star player going to class. Nobody gives a fuck about like Overwatch top 5 plays, right? Like nobody cares
Mhm.
anymore. It's all about the players. Like the Atlanta Reign has such a big fan base, not because it's the Atlanta Reign and you love them. It's because you love their players. Like you followed Dogman or you followed DeFran, right? Like DeFran jerseys are still like the #1 selling jersey in the Overwatch League, and the kid fucking played 2 weeks on the stage before he went back to being a streamer. Like that just shows the power of storytelling, one, and just player personality. It didn't matter if they were a good team because nobody knew they were a new team. So you can do the same thing with a collegiate program. If you just show, hey, we're here to nurture and to build esports professionals, like fuck it, I could be dead last. Like I could be the Shanghai Dragons of the college like esports space. But if I'm pumping out like the next like content director of the Overwatch League, then your school has so much more street cred than the school that just got first place and you don't know any of their players' names.
What would be your best advice in starting out building that content? I know you
Mhm.
just touched on that and stuff, right? But
Yeah.
like completely new people coming in, and I
Right,
mean
starting
they
from
might
scratch.
have some people who know what they're doing,
Mhm.
but like what would you recommend, because you have the experience of that, like that starting off content
Yeah.
that that will help them grow
Mhm.
if they're just like building up and they don't necessarily have all the resources that they need at that current time.
Right. Really good question. When I first started working at the collegiate like level, dude, I shot my first like 3 months on this phone right here. I
Mhm.
literally like shot on a Pixel 2. Like everybody has a 4K camera in their pocket now, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
to just get started, you just get on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, and you can do it a couple of different ways. You can find relatively no-name people, and like you bring in a director of esports that has some credibility behind their name, right? Like a Clerky. You hire him because you're gonna latch onto his brand name, and he's gonna pump you out to like that's your initial boost. You're gonna get your first 1,000 followers, easy, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then Clerky's gonna take on one of those kids, right? He's gonna be like, "This is who you're gonna focus on as like our star. Like this is who you're gonna be. We're telling stories about to start." And you're just
Mhm.
gonna introduce your players. Where'd you come from? Did mom and dad kick you out of the house? Like, why are you in college? What are you doing? Right? Like, what is your
Mhm.
goal? Or like, fucking talk. Like, even if you don't have players yet, you literally just talk about your school. Why did the
Mhm.
school start a program? Like, what is that process? Like, if you literally follow the Gary V content model, just fucking get an intern, a college student, give them college credit. Literally be like, hey, yo, Colin Designs, do you have a phone? Cool. I'm gonna literally give you 6 college credits. That's $6,000, mind you, right? Like a
Mhm.
typical college credit's $1,000 each. I'm gonna give you 6 college credits. That's $6,000 essentially that they now don't have to pay for their graduation. If you
Mhm.
just follow me around with this, the
Someone would
cheapest
be dumb to
that
not
cost
accept that.
that cost the college zero fucking
Do you know what's
college.
fun about that?
Yeah.
Colin
Go
has
ahead.
been bragging about iPhone photography for a while.
I
And
Right, dude.
videography.
Like, yo, I hate to like. I fucking hate like the biggest excuse is like I don't have a nice camera. Asshole, look in your pocket.
Yep.
Your phone costs more than fucking people's rent.
Yeah.
Like literally, just
True.
get a clamp light from Home Depot for $20 and a phone, and just walk around like this, dude. Like I don't care how
I
stupid you
think it's
look.
like the funniest part about all this is like people like have the brand new iPhone, right? Like 1.5 thousand. They're like, I just can't afford a camera that's good enough. It's like my
You
GH5 costs like
right,
maybe 800 second hand. It's like
right.
I paid
your phone.
$1,500 for mine.
Right, but we overcomplicate. Like going back to the original question, how do you
I,
start from scratch?
Use
You
what you have.
don't fucking just start making shit.
Mhm.
Like, dude, like I'll be honest. Like, what Twitch streamer have you watched? Like, if you go back to like Doctor Disrespect's first Twitch stream, it's not even fucking Doctor Disrespect. It's some asshole who's clean shaven and works for like a game dev.
yeah, but Doctor Disrespect was
It's
famous
not
already.
right, but like he built his way through
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like dude, he literally just threw shit at the wall, and your audience will literally tell you yes or so. Like,
XQC.
if you're
XQC is the
right,
perfect
but if you're a
example.
college, it's the same fucking thing, right? Like
Yeah.
say like I'd say I'm like Georgia State, right? Like I'm Georgia State. We have no fucking like we have a gaming club with 3 fucking socially awkward kids that have never talked to the president of the college. You know what I'm doing as that college? I'm going to the president of the esports club and I'm saying, "Yo, um I'm gonna give you guys like a fucking classroom that we don't use because most colleges have that. Like most
Mhm.
colleges, it's all waste. Like
Or a time when there's a free class, right?
college is just it's a big fucking like the huge vortex of just huge amounts of waste, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like so cut back your cost, right? Like literally just be like, hey, I have this empty classroom from fucking like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. No fucking students in class from 6 to 10 p.m. Right?
Mhm.
Give them a fucking space. Put 3 fucking computers in there and just tell them to make shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like literally just like sit there with a fucking webcam and be like, hey guys, we're at Georgia State today and I'm streaming this. Like stop putting firewalls up, stop putting fucking like ad blocks on your computer, like unlock a computer and let your students make shit with your fucking sign behind you. Like right
Yeah.
now, everything in my room is free advertisement.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then just start talking. Like literally be
Same.
like, hey Colin, do you want to start an esports program? Cool. I'm gonna let this kid follow you around. He's gonna record everything you fucking say and do. And you're just gonna cut those up into little mini episodes. Like, this is how you have a meeting with the president of the college.
Mhm.
It's
Well,
not. It doesn't need to be difficult. Like you just need to
Yeah.
start.
and what I think what you've said actually like has just made me realize like most colleges now as well will have film and television like different courses, right? Which
It
means they
costs
have
literally
cameras.
an esports program can cost you $0.
Yeah, so
What
like you,
college credit? You don't have to pay. The colleges literally do not have to pay to generate college credits. They don't exist. It's like a credit card. It doesn't exist. You literally, hey, here's 6 credits. It costs you nothing, but that kid is literally going to work for you for 80 hours a week because he's passionate.
Yeah.
Right? He thinks it's the coolest fucking thing that he's the videographer of Georgia State, which it is. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's making a name for himself, and then you retweet the shit that he makes, like from your college page, because now you're the cool college that has a gamer.
But like
Like
now
that-
you can set up a program, right? Like you can set up a program that exists
To start a program, all you literally need is one fucking recognizable figure from esports. Sign them for 3 fucking months. Like find your dude. I'm not even fucking joking with you. Like call DeFran, tell him he's gonna like literally start a fucking program. Like he's gonna be like teach my students how to Twitch stream for 3 months, and let him tweet from your college campus for 3 months, and then fucking get rid of him. Like pay him the retainer, and then boom, your college like has like 10,000 new followers. Like these influencers are fucking huge. These kids are huge. These kids have more following than like 3 colleges' Twitters put together.
Easily.
Like,
And they can
10
sell
10
shit.
colleges, man. Fucking
I
insane.
mean, like
Even like think about it. Like think about like when we talk, like we used to talk about like Ivy League colleges. Like it was a big deal. Like, oh, I went to Harvard. Like it's a badge of honor. Like go on fucking like Harvard's fucking Twitter. Like what is their fucking Twitter even at? Like they're one of the
Probably
biggest fucking
a
schools.
few million right now.
They have 1 million.
Oh.
They have 1 million.
just in case anyone
But-
didn't know, like Ivy League universities, because we have a lot of like European viewers. These are like the 5 prestigious universities where like if you get into this university, you're like
Right.
The best
You
or
can
whatever.
get
Academic.
any job. Now ready? Let's put this in perspective. Nick Merckx, Twitch streamer, 1.2 million followers.
An individual has more followers
And,
than
a singular human fucking being. No amount of like your alumni connect, like your alumni relations coordinator. No amount of fucking email blasts to all the parents, the students, everything in their like wheelhouse. All the infinite funds of money, because that's a really expensive school, and you can only get 1 million followers.
Let's actually talk about Nate Shot, McDonald's worker. Like,
Right. He's
there you
perfect.
fucking go.
Right. No,
I mean, like,
he
what-
has more than them too.
But Danny,
Nate Shot-
I have one
Nate Shot has
question,
2
right?
points. So you bring on Nate Shot as a fucking, you're like, yo, Nate Shot, and it'll cost you a shitload of money. But like,
That's what-
okay,
yeah.
maybe the president of your college doesn't get a fucking $100,000 Christmas bonus that year, right? Take the Christmas bonus that the president of the university would get. Mine did every fucking year, 100 grand fucking. And I went to a shitty school in New Jersey, right? Like the president of my college had a private driver. How about you take that private driver salary and hire Nade Shot to start a fucking esports program in your school for 1 month? He literally comes in and you bring him staff and he trains them on how to fucking start a
I
program.
guarantee you, Nate Shot wouldn't even charge. Like,
Yeah.
he'd probably like take 75% off. Right?
He would
Because-
do it. He would literally do it because he's so fucking smart. He'd be like, "Yeah, 100 thieves would just do it for our brand."
because
He
here's
like
the
he
thing.
would go to Harvard and be like, "Yo, you just have to put. We're gonna build the 100 thieves like Harvard fucking compound on your campus."
Where UCLA has this, right, with Team Liquid. I swear, like UCLA have a whole esport collegiate program that's sponsored by Team Liquid, right? Or
Right.
Cloud9.
Because it's fucking free advertising.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I mean-
it doesn't actually like Cloud9's not getting new followers from that college, right? Like they're really not, because Cloud9 probably has more followers in the college to begin with.
Yeah.
What
they
they're
don't need
doing,
to.
what they're literally doing is just like, if I'm gonna spend 4 years locked in this cell, like if this is my dorm, I'm gonna look at Cloud9 fucking logos for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like that's it. It's just name
That's, like,
it's
huge
brand
brand
recognition.
awareness.
That's
Well,
it.
I mean, like
Make
there's a
every
lot-
chair in your fucking computer lab could say 100. Right? Like
what I like about this, right? Like, well, I know Cluxer has a question. First, like,
sorry, if I
we'll-
like
we'll-
ramble,
Don't
just
worry.
fucking like
No,
Really
smack
don't
me
worry about
virtually.
we'll go to him after, but like what I like about this, right, that like is the benefits, right? Not so much like the benefits of the college itself, you know, grows in terms of like figures or whatever, but you now have a system in place that's telling all these kids who play games and stuff that, you know, furthering your education, which is an important tool in this life. You know, it's cool. Like you can end up playing not only the game you love,
Mhm.
but now you're learning as well. You're
Right.
doing the same thing, and that's a key factor for me because
Because
a lot of
that's benefiting the world in general, because more people who like you guys said, like typically they would probably not go to college because they're like, oh, I'm gonna be a pro gamer when I grow
Right,
up. or
they're the
something.
outcasts. Gamers are naturally outcasts. Like gamers naturally just do the fucking opposite of what they're told. because like that's just like this. That's just who they are. Like so we've been like selling college to kids for years now. So naturally they're not gonna want to go. Like they're fucking gamers, dude. Like we don't
But
like to listen.
introducing gaming into that
But
allows
it's called a
them.
bridge, right? Like you
Yeah,
bridge that. It's a
exactly.
generational gap. Like, dude, like we literally had kids who were like, "I hate college, but I want to go to the same college that Elk from like the Overwatch League is at." Because now Elk goes to
Exactly.
a school in Bumblefuck, Pennsylvania, right? Right? Like, there's nothing around. I lived there for a fucking year, dude. Like, you go to a bar and you could get shot at 1 a.m, but I want to go there because fucking Elk studies there, and I might see him in my science class.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but think about how much that is. Like, dude, that's $100,000 that school just pocketed because you have one famous kid on your fucking team. It's just cheap. It's cheap advertising.
I'm gonna cut in again because I want to get back to Kluxer's question.
Okay. Okay.
Klux, what do we got?
About my question. Well, Danny, do you feel like esport has been getting like a better reputation in media because of college esports?
No.
Nothing at all?
So the way that, because I've worked in the collegiate side, the way that they spin their stories is too old news. And what I mean by that is like when I worked at a college, like I couldn't tweet that we won the championships of the collegiate tournament before we put out a press release.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Now, have you guys ever fucking read a press release in gaming?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes, I have.
Well, okay, like 100 Thieves put it out, but they also tweeted. Right?
Yeah.
Like they put a fucking video. Like we could not report any winning until we put a press release to our board of education because 10 rich white dudes were more important than our 1,000 followers on Twitter. So like, I'm not saying that they're not getting better exposure in news and media. They're just being exposed incorrectly. Like when you read these articles, they're just fucking wrong. They're like, oh, the collegiate program in Pennsylvania like is well known for like Overwatch, League of Legends, Hearthstone, and other games. They have, multi, and I'm like, all of it is bullshit.
It's like
these
they're
kids,
so
these
traditional that they need to,
right. They only know what they know, right? Like they're not willing to like do it a new way.
But
If
I
they
would
really
now
want to grow, they have to change though, because I mean,
they have to. There's no choice. If you don't change, you die.
This
you
is
literally
die inside esports as well, though, because like often
right. Look at all your
like,
fucking like look at every single org.
announcement. Like, hey, here's a single cool graphic, right? The graphic may be pretty and everything, but like video sells better than static images.
Well,
That's
I mean, we also like. Yeah,
well,
I just don't.
Like it depends on in a few cases, right? Like
us graphic designers have a place, and I don't respect your disrespect.
What I mean by it is right. Like a picture of Kobe Bryant sells better than a video of Kobe Bryant because it's that memory of Kobe Bryant, right? It's that particular, like the championship game winning point, right? So a photographer picture that captures the moment of passion and the moment, like you can see the beauty in it, right? So they sell a lot. Right, in that sense. But for a team announcement, right? I rather, if it was me personally, I'd post a video of like, hey, look, check out how sick these players are, than just a headshot of these players.
You also have to look at the nature of physical dirt sports versus esports, like right, like you're not capturing a fucking Kobe Bryant slam dunking, and then you got fucking like Joe Schmo like hunched over a fucking keyboard. Like that's not selling.
I disagree in the sense of Clayster is a great example I can use, right? When Clayster. Have you seen these players when they win championships?
Like no, I'm not saying that. Like what I'm saying though is like, but like relatively speaking, like if you're gonna compare it, because we're comparing like dirt sports to esports right now. Kobe Bryant has more brand recognition than like our biggest player in the Overwatch League, like Sinatra. If you say Sinatra and Kobe Bryant to a relatively unknown, to a person that doesn't know gaming, they're not gonna know who the fuck a Sinatra is.
Yeah, but someone like
there's no name recognition like that in gaming. Like even Nadeshot has 2.6 million followers, but if you tell that to like, if you're talking to your family over dinner, it's not a household name. I don't watch sports and I know who fucking Kobe Bryant is.
Yeah. Well,
the name recognition, like, so of course I'm not buying.
Argue that's just because esports is so young, right? Give it time and esports will.
Oh, it is, yeah. If it survives.
Which is the exact topic I want to go into. Will esports survive?
If it makes it.
I have a big problem with esports and people saying that it will like it'll survive in the sense of there's so much I can talk about on this. Me and Danny have already done it in the sense, right?
I think we've talked probably like 8 hours already about this, and like I could talk for like a billion hours about like esports. Esports is not like people think I'm a doomsayer. I'm not gonna say I'm not saying it's gonna die. I'm saying right now you're in the housing market right before the housing market bubble popped, but like it recovered, right? Like our economy did recover. but the bubble is going to burst. It's bursting. It's currently in the midst of bursting with like several failed leagues, right? Like we're on the cusp of bursting. Like content creators are being laid off, players are being laid off, like academy teams are non-existent for most esports now. Like we are already hitting that very edge of the bubble right before it explodes, and you're going to see a lot of organizations just liquidize.
It needs to adapt.
already are.
It's not because you're founded on just like just critical like amounts of users. That's it. Like you're literally just like, you might as well, like, if that's your fucking goal, then buy 1 million followers, because they're just as useless as 1 million real fucking followers who are 15 and can't afford your merch.
Mhm.
It's like there's no plan for conversion. Like esports at the end of the day, like we don't want to talk about it. Like we don't want to say like it's about the money. Like we want to talk about passion and everything. It is passion. At the end of the fucking day though, like you got to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Like it sounds really fucking robotic, but like
But
what
it's
is
true.
if your objective, you have 2 objectives in any business. Whatever your first mission is, like my first mission is to inspire people to achieve their goals. My second mission is to pay my fucking bills.
Yeah.
Right?
You
Like
gotta-
but like
you gotta
so like
adapt
when
to
you're
be able to
putting
do both.
$20 million down for a team, what is your goal? To hit 1 million followers on Twitter, but there's no fucking business goal. Like what is your long-term, like where are you recouping $20 million off of $100 jerseys and $40 homestand tickets? You're really going to tell me like the ROI on that would take 10, 20 years just for your initial investment? Like there's no fucking long-term, there's no plan for conversion, right? Like if you're going to
Mhm.
start like an online e-commerce shop, you know that it's going to cost you $100 to build the website, but you're going to make the $100 back in your first 20 orders of t-shirts
Yeah.
sold.
Plus,
There's
how much
no
does a follower
recouping.
even like? If they're looking for like followers or growth on social media, what the hell is that even worth? Like, how do you
Nothing.
justify?
It's vanity, right? Okay, so like here's a story I like to tell that just kind of shows one, how new the industry is and how new old established brands are to the industry. So I work with a sponsor we're not going to name now, right? So we work with said sponsor. My job as a director of content is to a partnership, a sponsorship is a partnership. It's a relationship. It's what
Mhm,
can I do
mhm.
for you? If you're
Yeah.
going to sign with me, if Colin Media is going to sign with the burger, like my first question to Colin is, what do you want out of this? Right? The answers are simple, right? Do you want exposure? Do you want customers? Do you want 1 million followers? Do you want 1 million likes on this video? Do you want people to donate to a charity? There's a mission, there's an objective. When I ask most of these sponsors that first question, they're like, "Oh, we want to try esports." That's not a fucking answer, because then what happens is you're with that client for 6 months, and at the end of their stint, they've given you like large sums of money, and then they yell at you because they didn't get something that they never knew they wanted. Right? In 6 months, they're like, "Yeah, this partnership's really not working." And I'm like, "What
Mhm.
do you mean it's not working? Like, what deliverable are like? I hit 20 videos that you wanted. They were all 3+ minutes, and we put them out, and they all got like 20,000 views." And they're like, "Well, we really thought we'd be getting, like X amount of mobile orders on our fucking app." Like, asshole, tell me that's what you want. Not,
Mhm.
I want to try fucking esports. Like, this is what I'm talking about, education though. Like the people running these decisions don't know what they fucking want. That's why
Yeah.
that's why the industry is like, it needs education. Like that's the most critical component. It's like, fuck it. Like if you're going to school for marketing and you're going to work for like fucking Microsoft one day, and Microsoft wants to get into esports, which they're on Mixer, I know, right? But pretend they never touched it, and you're now like the head of global marketing for Microsoft, and you get in a meeting with a content director and he asks you what you want, and you're like, "I want to try esports." You should be fucking fired.
You gotta
Why are
have a
you even
mission. You have to
talking?
have a specific
Why are you
mission.
even talking? You just see Ninja with 1 million followers. So in your head, you see 1 million customers, but if you don't know how to, one, communicate that that's your want, and two, like there's no just trying. Like we're talking large sums of money. You're just
Mhm.
trying. That's the problem, right? Like that's where like we need to reform. Like
Yeah.
one, they have a duty and a responsibility to turning down these big sponsors, in my opinion. Like
Mhm.
until you turn down Microsoft 20 different times, like if Microsoft goes from Team Liquid to 100 Thieves and they both say, "No, we're not going to work with you because you don't know what you want," then that's going to force Microsoft to look inward and be like, "Wow,
Mhm.
we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Let's research. Let's learn about it before
Fire
we start
someone
throwing
from
fucking money at
Mhm.
it that we'll never see back." Because then the only articles that get written 6 months later are about how esports failed Microsoft.
But Microsoft ended up failing themselves by not knowing like
They
what they're
didn't do their
trying to
research.
achieve.
They didn't have a goal, right? Like I can tell you any story that you want me to tell you. As a videographer, as a director of my content, my job is to generate the content for you as my sponsor, as my partner. My job is to tell your story, how you want it to tell. Like my job is to follow your themes and your mission. But if you don't have a call to action, if there's nothing and you're just like, make me a 3-minute video, I'll make you a fucking 3-minute video. But like your audience it'll be empty. It's meaningless. It doesn't mean dick. Like it really doesn't mean shit. Like nothing. Right? Like there's nothing in it. Like Apple commercials are easy. It's like they want you to live the Apple lifestyle, right? Like you don't even have to put an Apple product in it because they know what they want. Every video, they know what they're trying to get you to do.
And they're effective because they've built the lifestyle that you're talking about through their products.
Their mission when Apple first got fucking founded, their mission was literally to put a computer in the consumer's hands to compete with big corporations, to take down the big guys. That's the Apple lifestyle.
How times change.
And now they're the bad guys. They're the big guys.
But now they're horrible, right? But like at least they had a fucking mission and that's why they're successful. Like
but
don't lie and say you're doing shit for passion though. Like or just to try it. Like esports isn't failing anybody, right? Like we're not failing. We're doing what we're told.
Yeah.
We're giving you like I'm giving my sponsors the videos that they're asking me to make, and 6 months down the road they're just not happy. Right? It's like when I used to be a logo designer, I was like for like an app development company, like way back in high school. Like I'm not a logo designer by any stretch. I just dressed nice and I interviewed. Anywho, when I would design logos for them, I'd get in a room, we'd talk about like shapes, colors, whatever, themes, and then I'd give the client like 5 different like options, and they would say all be blue, and they'd be like, "Oh, I fucking hate it. I hate all of these sketches." Right? So I'd go back and I'd do it again, and I'd send them in like red this time, and they're like, "Oh, no, like what? Like I hate all those too." And it turned out like we would go in discussions and it would just turn out because like they didn't know what fucking color they wanted. Right? Like they didn't hate the design, they just hated the color. Because they don't know what they want going into it.
But I feel like a big company like that has to just they have to have a meeting about it first. Like if you're gonna throw a shit ton of money at it.
They do.
Right.
You have to know what you want.
Doing it. But everybody's doing it. Even look at some of these leagues. Like they're asking for large sums. Blizzard asked for large sums of money to run Overwatch teams. Large sums. Mm-hmm. What did those meetings look like? Like for my $20 million, what am I getting?
Well, it's
did anybody ask?
I feel like that's just stupid spending at that point because
why? So like why is it valued like that, right? Like why is it valued so high? And what analytics are you running? Like there was no league before you. Like how did Blizzard be like, "Oh, like we're just going to fucking throw X amount." Like what did you pull it out of your ass? Or did you like your college intern wake up that Monday morning and forget how he had a fucking meeting? He's like, "Oh fuck, I got to slap together a pitch deck." Cuz that's what it fucking seems like.
Yeah.
Like and then there's nothing. Like, if you don't know what you want, how can you expect me to give you, like, I can't find that for you, dude. You got to go on a fucking soul search somewhere. Go in the desert and go fucking do peyote or something.
So there was a question in Twitch chat.
Yeah.
It says, if clients don't know what they want / need.
I want to say something, right?
Okay. Interrupt my question.
Breathe, Daddy.
Me?
Okay, just breathe, you know.
Oh, I'm breathing.
Like, man, that was you can see the sweat, right? That was a workout, right?
Who, me? Oh, I'm cool. Oh, okay. So I am reading right now. I am reading this question. It's a good question. So, if they don't know what you need, like, isn't it my job to tell them, right? Or recognize where you can make more. So, no. So that person's not wrong. That's a very well worded question, and they're right. It is my job to help them discover what they want, but you need a vague idea. You can't just want to try esports. Like, if that's the case, then you should be paying me as your esports consultant, like an actual person with experience. Yeah. You should be paying me to say, hey, I'm going to spend a week and you're going to literally give me a crash course so I can learn as much as humanly possible about every form of media in your industry. Because as a content director, I can give you narratives. I can give you frag reels. I can show you the world of esports. That's my job. I can educate you, but I can't tell you what your mission as a company is. I can't tell you what Microsoft's fucking overarching mission as a company is because that's not my job.
But that's something the company should have decided when they started.
Right, but the company should have a plan, like, right? So if you have a marketing department, right, your marketing department had to have reached out to these teams, right? They had to have said, hey, Danny, I want to work with your team. I want to give you this amount of money and your guys are going to make videos with my logo in it. But like, you need to come at them with something. You can't just be like, I want to try esports. Or if you are, then be humble enough to fucking recognize it. Because the issue is they're not humble enough to recognize that they're just ignorant. Like I'm the first person like in a call, like I'll get in there, I'll be like, yo, this is not my area of expertise. I'm just gonna say that right now. Everything that I'm saying about this specific topic is just purely off of what I'm learning now, right?
I would say it's
because I'm humble. I'm humble enough to do that. But big companies aren't. Big companies are like, we want to try esports, and you're like, cool. What are you trying to get? And they look at me and they ask the same question. Shouldn't you tell me? And then I'm like, cool. So do you want clicks? Do you want exposure? Do you want followers? And they still like, I can lay out a list of proposals and they still won't fucking know. At that point, you need to read a book. Like you need to seek help.
That's the thing though. As a creative, it's your job to, and I agree with you that you can give them all the options. Like you can show them what others have done and give them examples of what you've done. But I can't tell someone what their brand is trying. Like I can't tell them what they want because I'm not them.
You're not fucking Bill Gates, and I'm not a mind reader, right? Like I don't know. Like for me, like the content that I make, like the videos that I love, like Mick might not like at all. Like he might think fucking YouTube vloggers are idiots, right? Like we have different tastes. Like
you just read his mind.
Right, but strip away, like, right, like water this the fuck down. Like take away missions and sponsors and big companies. Like water it the fuck down. Like I like different content than Mick likes, than Colin likes, than Cluxor likes. So,
it's the same with everyone.
It's opinion. So like you're already starting in a very subjective field. Creative is just subjective. Yeah. So you need to find an objective, measurable thing,
a goal
that everybody can agree on. And as a content director, I can lay out samples of goals. I cannot tell you what your goal is.
And then you have to find the right person to meet the criteria that you're looking for. I mean, you can't.
Right.
I mean,
that's my answer. Like, yeah, my job as a director of content is to direct the content, but you need to tell me what your goal is. I can give you, if I worked with Mick for the past 2 months on his esports brand, and then Colin hires me 2 months later, I can be like, hey, Colin, here were some of my other clients' objectives for these videos. And this is why, like, the video is made a certain way. Like, that's my job. But then Colin has to tell me, like, oh, I want 1 million fucking followers. Like, that's Colin's job. That's his business. That's his baby. I didn't invent Colin's company. I don't give a fuck if it lives or dies. I want to get paid, and I want to make good videos. Because that's my reputation.
First off, rude, because Colin's company would be amazing. And you'd be lucky to work with Colin's company. But no.
I would. Hey, can I get a job in esports, man? Like, can you hire? Like, that's my favorite question. I get so many DMs, dude.
The best part is Colin isn't in esports most of the time. He's the only one here who isn't in esports.
It is a true thing, though. I wonder how many of these companies are actually doing like SWOT marketing.
None, dude. Like, they're literally just finding, like, they're literally going on Twitter or Google. They're typing in esports. Yeah. They're finding the highest rated teams, and then they're DMing the brand's page. They're literally DMing, hey, my company would love to work with you. And then these brands, these poor esports orgs, right? Because they spend $20 million on a team. They're like, oh, fuck, dude, I do need those 6 figures. And we don't care what those 6 figures, like, we don't care what you, like, we'll fucking toil in the fields, right? Like, we'll fucking clean your apartment. Like, we don't give a fuck because we're poor. So then now you're running into, like, your issues are compounding, right? You have sponsors who don't know what the fuck they want. You have esports orgs who will literally do anything to retain them, right? Like, my sponsor could have zero idea, and, like, we're just gonna be like, yes, and. Like, yeah, we'll give you an empty video. Yeah, you want 30,000 empty videos? Cool. But then at the end of
your money.
But then at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking, like, at the end of the day, it's just compounding. It's just compounding negative. Like, right? We're making shit content where there's no objective. The audience is fucking confused. Then 6 months down the road, when your contract is done, client X is unhappy because they didn't get the ROI on their 6 figures because they didn't fucking tell me what they wanted. Like, dude, all it does is make esports look bad. And it's not really, like, the root problem is just one asshole who woke up late for a meeting.
Mm-hmm. So,
I feel like that's on the company, though, to do, like, before they're pitching or looking for what they want.
Yeah, but then I also blame the, like, esports consultants or experts because they're also reaching out to, like, fucking, Joe or Shake Shack, right? Like, I'm an esports expert. Hey, man, like, have you considered getting into esports? Like, did you know that the CPM of your fucking, like, Twitter page could go up 300% if you use keywords like hashtag esports and, like, fucking whatever?
They're trying to create a dream from it. Like, they use factual.
They're literally just fucking they're con artists. Yeah. They're literally just like, hey, Shake Shack, if you fucking put gaming in your fucking Twitter handle, you'll get 1 million followers. And people fucking fall for it.
Yeah.
because they just see Ninja, right? Like they're sending a pitch deck with Ninja's face on it. They're like, I know that guy. He has blue hair and he makes millions of dollars.
Or like, hey, Fortnite had a 30 million cup.
Right,
you know, like,
dude. Like people still like my parents don't know what I do for work. Like they know what I do for work, right? But like when my dad talks to his friends, he's like, yeah, he works in video games. Like he works in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like that's the only name recognition that esports has, right?
Yeah.
Like honestly, like esports is just Fortnite. That's it.
Yeah.
Like if you
for most people
out,
it is, yeah.
If you look at a global scale and you just mass
yeah.
asked everybody in the streets what is esports, they would say like, oh, like Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so like we are new.
So wait, let's get back to the main question, right?
Yeah.
Will esports collapse? Because I wanna create like a relationship between that and us as creatives.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should stick and stay in esports? Because like you've described the bubble and it's gonna explode and everything.
Not this conversation.
No, for real. As creatives,
I see where
is
it's
it a
going.
safe place for us to stay in?
No place is a safe place for creatives. Like, let me just start off with like saying, if you're a creative dude, you're already fucked. You're already, but like, and like it sounds terrible, but like you're not a pro player. Like literally, the only people in the whole industry that are safe are pro players. That's it. Not owners, because owners will lose all their money. Not staff, because like you can get any asshole with a video camera for $10 an hour to put out shitty content.
Yeah,
right.
Everyone's replaceable.
I can go on fucking dude. Like if I'm an owner, like fire the whole creative team and just go on Fiverr if you really like want to nickel and dime, right? Like, but I'm not fucking.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not
not fucking though. Like
it's been used. I know
some of these teams are literally not using Fiverr, but just outsourcing to third-party agencies who have never touched a video.
I know organizations who have hit me up and they've.
We'll start off like that question just to like so I can keep it on topic. Is one like you chose the creative space not because you wanted to be safe. I hope. Because you will never find a safe. You will never feel safe as a creative, and that's why I'm a creative though.
You never feel safe as a freelance, like
right.
But that's the thing I'm looking for, because I want to be on my own and not be working under someone who tells me what to do all the time. I want to make my own decisions.
So one, like, and I don't say that to discourage or to scare anybody. That's like, dude, that's like inspiration as fuck for me, right? Like for me, not being safe is why I chose this. Like I could easily fucking work at PetSmart and pay my rent, right? Like I'd pay off my debt. I could work at PetSmart for 30 fucking years and live. I chose this place because it was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And in the Wild West, you can get shot and fucking killed because you look at somebody funny.
I think we all have like the same idea about it. Like everyone wants to make the best out of their lives and do something that they like to do, and that's why we're here. And even though it's not like the safe position where like everyone is looking for, it is something that we like to do, and we can keep doing it for years and years because we love it and we love it with a passion.
Correct.
And I think that's the only reason why you should hop into being a creative and being freelance, because if you don't have the passion, like we said last week on the podcast, you shouldn't be doing it. You have to have a passion and motivation for it.
If you don't love it, dude, you're just gonna fucking hate I work 100+ hours a week, and nothing in your life that you work on for that many hours a week, you can't even slightly dislike it. You won't. You'll just be fucking miserable, dude. Like then you better be making a lot of money so you can pay a therapist.
Yeah.
It'll be fine for like 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you'll start to feel it.
Because it's like new, but dude, like I always tell people like, so one, you're never gonna be safe, but let's keep it to esports, right? Like, is the bubble? Is it good? Is it a good idea to be a creative in esports? Yeah, because guess what? Like, dude, the people that got rich, like the rich and the wealthy in the nation, they didn't get rich in times of comfort. They got rich when the fucking depression hit, and they didn't pull their money out of the stock market. Like the people who got rich were the assholes who spent their last like 50 cents buying real estate in Manhattan before it was fucking Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get rich from like comfort, right? Like you didn't become successful.
And I feel like every organization is gonna try to get creatives from everywhere just to save their brand.
But this is literally like, I'm telling you right now, we're gonna hit the Great Depression. Like fucking mark my words now. We're gonna hit the Great Depression of esports very soon. Right? It's gonna fucking tank. Like you're gonna see big orgs that you never suspected were struggling.
Yeah.
They're just gonna liquidize. They're gonna sell. Right? They're gonna be like, yo, I got a League of Legends team. Cool, 100 of these, pick up like 3 of them and like pay off some of my bills. Right? They're gonna clip out their overhang. They're gonna take the hit and they're gonna fucking dip back to traditional sports, or they're gonna fucking get into marketing. Right? It's gonna collapse. But with that collapse is where you're gonna find, if you fucking survive, congrats, you're the new wave. You are literally there's no competition because all your competition died, right? Like if you're an org and you survive this, right? Fuck it. Like if you're a graphic designer and you don't lose your passion, you don't lose the roof over your head and your internet, and you survive this next like wave of fucking cutbacks, you're the only fucking designer left. Like you can go anywhere, because when they finally like get back into it and the housing market starts going back up because young adults are starting to make more money, you're going to be the only designer. You're going to have to fucking pick where you want to work.
Yeah,
like I know that
sure.
for a fact. I know that for a fact. Like, dude, I'm learning so many different video games because like I don't know which game's going to be successful, because like I don't count on any of them ever being successful ever.
I would almost say that being freelance is safer than being full time.
There's trade-offs to both, right?
Yeah, of course there's trade-off to both. But like what you're saying right there, right? Like is,
I mean, if you lock yourself down with one company, I mean, there's like a 90% chance that eventually that opportunity is going to fall through.
Yeah. So
but if you're freelance, you have multiple options, and so
it's
you're
like,
not.
So it's really dark. It's really dark and depressing. But like when you get married, right? There's only really two outcomes, and they're both depressing. You either get divorced or one of you dies before the other.
Yeah.
The end is always like, so like, yeah, I have a great job.
There are exceptions, but yeah.
Okay, right. But like, yeah, like I go super minimal, right? Like I'm a super minimal thinker. I try to be anyway. Like my head's like loud enough. But like what I'm trying to say is like, you can have a fully salaried job, but if you're a creative, like you need to know, like you like anything can happen any day, right? Like I've seen it happen. Like people get fucking let go on a dime of a hat. Like that's the risk you're assuming, but you got to be willing to adapt. And if you're gonna sign for an org, like I work for an org, but the nice thing about my org is I can take on side work as long as it doesn't impact what I'm doing, and as long as it's not me being like a dickhead on the internet or bad mouthing whatever. Like I'm free to do what I want. So like, one, set yourself up for success. Don't sign to an org that says you can only tweet one time a day. Right? Like that's a big red fucking flag, because we live in social media now, and that's just fucking wrong. Like eventually we won't text anymore. We're just going to tweet at each other. Right? So any company that tries to fucking like limit your social media, already a red flag. Like if you're a creative, know your worth. Stop signing to these fucking orgs that are trying to take over your life for very minimal money. You can work at Burger King and pay your bills, and then fucking grind from 9 p.m. until fucking 2 a.m.
Yeah, true.
Right? But like you just got to be able to adapt. I think that like,
but that's exactly the point I was gonna say before. God bless UK internet decided to crash, is like what you were saying there, right? So when you're working full time, you're everything the org pays you, they're gonna expect more than what you were originally hired for. But with terms of freelance, you're only really looking at the problem of getting clients, right? But there's always clients out there to get, right? Especially in the amateur scene. So if you build your portfolio, you get bigger and bigger as a freelancer, you know, there eventually comes a time, even in the hardest times, like, right, once you get past that really hardship of whether it's or not, it's like, well, do I want to be in esports? Like, is esports sustainable, right? And then you go back to your original projects, like, hey, like this coffee shop needs an advertisement, and then you know you still find someone to ask, right? If you can get clients as a freelancer, like you're being paid for what you do.
But do you feel like you can like earn a full-time salary within just amateur esports?
Easily.
No. In amateur, no.
Okay, wait. Let's narrow it down for a second, right? Let's let's look at CWL London last year.
Projects, and it depends on your cost of living.
No. Let's look at a Call of Duty event in the amateur scene.
Okay, like challengers.
Because
or below challengers, like as amateur.
No, challengers.
Okay.
Challengers. So underneath the pros, just the AMC.
Yeah.
Because I made a full-time salary once, right? 1 month, and that was back in February when everything started like taking off for me. But I had to work my ass off for it because I was working with amateur organizations, and they usually don't pay much because they don't have much money. And the reason I was able to get that full-time salary was because I was working with one of the franchise teams as well. And that made it possible for me to get more clients and everything. Like, I don't think you can succeed on just amateur teams within the COD scene.
Well,
I think,
and that's Call of Duty in particular, right?
It depends what you consider an amateur team, right? So Singularity has an amateur COD team.
Okay, Singularity excluded, Team War excluded. So the top two teams, like, they're not there, right?
I think you can get very close to full time.
And it depends on what you're doing, right? Like, are you a videographer? Are you graphic design? Are you a caster? Like, do you know how many fucking like amateur casters there are for COD that like literally live on ramen noodles?
Yeah.
Like you could never make it as a fucking freelancer that way. Like, no way. Like, I'm gonna say straight.
Okay,
like,
so there's a
depends on,
difference between videographers and photographers as well, because I feel like
especially
I
even
know
now,
that
like,
Mick is making more money
event.
for one job than me, for example.
Right.
If I didn't have editing as a side thing or like a skill that I can use in my portfolio, no videographer, like no freelance videographer would be able to do what they did in the amateur scene.
Yeah.
And that's purely based on most AM teams don't have a funding, right?
Right.
However, if I'm a videographer and I can also provide editing jobs in all the time where I'm not at a LAN event to get that super big payout, right? So let's say I'm doing like what I was, like an event a month or 2 events a month, right? I'm getting 2 big payouts. You know, I'm not losing money because my contract or my agreement with them, that's what I have with them. So I'm getting them payouts, and now everywhere in between, I'm asking for an editing gig, like here and there, or whatever. People are asking me to do editing. I can quite comfortably live.
I feel like that's harder to do as a photographer.
If it's not too personal, do you live by yourself right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
but I'm only 23.
But here's my argument.
24 in like 5 days.
So like, okay, so because I've done both freelance and salary, right? Like I've literally worked both sides.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to both, but I'd like to put a different thought way. Like, so everybody, I think a big issue we're running into nowadays is everybody thinks everything in fucking life is linear. It's literally A to B. And everybody right now in their fucking heads, for esports anyway, it's like, if I work for the amateur scene, eventually I'll be in the pro scene, right?
That's not how it works.
But like in esports, it's literally like this is my path. This is my fucking, like, I made a commercial for fucking snowboards and then fucking like Atlanta Rain Salt. Right? Like, it's not. So like, the thought that I want to put in people's head, like the reason why in like by the time I hit 30, right, which is pretty far off, right, I could reasonably say that by the time I hit 30, I could be a successful freelancer because I worked for a pro organization, because now I'm going to have those years of experience under my belt. So I think if people started thinking about like a linear track in a way of like not just a straight line, but like, just what are you trying to do? Are you trying to make fucking videos for like for esports? Cool. Find work where you can. And if somebody signs you for a salary, try to work that job as long as humanly fucking possible and coattail the fuck out of it. Right? Like, people didn't fucking give a shit about me when I worked at collegiate because it's amateur. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, and I don't mean it to sound like rude, but like, nobody gives a fuck about a fucking collegiate Overwatch player. They don't. They really like. Even tier 3, like, nobody gives a fuck about no-name fucking top 500 Overwatch player. They don't.
Yeah.
Until that kid gets his name tied to a big org's name, and then you have, like, credibility, you're not worth a dick. Unless your work's really fucking good, which, like, yes, like, I think, like, my work is average. My work is actually not, like, I am the first to tell you, like, I'm not the best editor. I'm really not. There's people who are fucking talented. But because of who I'm tied to name-wise, because I went freelance to pro, I can safely say with confidence, and I'm the most unconfident person, Mick knows, that after like Overwatch, like whatever my journey is after this, I'm very confident that I can get any job in esports after that.
Yeah,
right. Freelance or not,
Yeah,
right? I can pick an org. I can pick an org, or I could literally say, "Hey, 100 Thieves, I want to contract with you for a month and see how it is," and they would probably pick me up.
I just don't think that like the esports is as bland as like there's pro and there's AM, right? Like technically there's that pro and AM difference, okay? But like I feel like you can bounce around as a freelancer in the amateur scene.
I think you have to.
You need, but it's something you need. At some point though, you need something that like solidifies and makes your name, and AM will never do it.
I disagree.
Like, I'm sorry, but like
it really depends on like
okay,
where
so
you
look
are.
at like League of Legends caster, fucking Captain Flowers. Like, I don't even know League of Legends, but like he cast one of our collegiate tournaments when I was working there. Like, he already had a big name and came into the thing, but like before he was a big caster, like he had to tie his name to some organization. Like, if not, you're just fucking Joe Schmo with a video camera.
I don't think so. I think,
but then look at some of these content directors like that, like they work for like they're freelance, but then when you like, you don't just like, I don't know, man. I think it's difficult. Like nowadays, the easy, like if you want to go with like easy and efficient, tie your name to a big org, work for them as long as humanly possible. And while you work for them, fucking document it. Like I'm literally every day, hey, I just got done editing for the rain for 8 hours. Let's stream now, me editing for Baby Bay. I'm tying my name to names that are way more important than mine because I know I don't fucking matter.
That's what I do as well.
Then I'm setting myself up for the future. Because if you're just like a fucking AM hopper, right? Like dude, it could potentially handicap you. Because like the first question I got in my interview, because on my resume, it's literally like 2 months and then 6 and then maybe a couple jobs like for a full year or so. Like the owner of the team was worried about taking me on because I don't look like I can commit. So like there's a trade-off to everything, right? Like, and I'm not saying you're wrong. You can definitely live as a freelancer. Right. If you don't want to go full time, then that's fine. But like, isn't the ultimate goal like the ultimate goal is like whatever is in your head? For me, it's paying all my bills and living like a sustainable life. And for me to do that, like, dude, nobody would have hired Danny Berger from like Harrisburg University. Nobody.
Right. So this is the thing that I have issue with, right? It's like I can somewhat see your point, but I personally can't like necessarily agree with it. However,
which is fine. That's why we're friends.
Of course. Like, but I would also say that if you're a freelancer and you're planning on living in esports as just a one singular industry and you're only doing AM projects, right? I don't think your time frame is to only stick in amateur for like 5 years, right? I think like
you'd be lucky if you survived a year, in my opinion. You fed yourself for a whole fucking year, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you're established. Like, how long did it take you to get to that
Ramen
point?
noodles.
But like, is that sustainable? Like, what if you like? Okay, so imagine you want a wife and kids. Like, this is what we're talking about when we're talking sustainability.
That's my point.
When we're talking sustainability, I'm not talking like creator burnout in 3 years, man. I'm talking like retirement, 401k, wife, kids, like white picket fence, dude. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, when we talk sustainability, like I'm like zooming the fuck out. Like, I want to retire when I'm 55 and travel the world with my wife and kids. I don't see that kind of future. Like, if I want to stay in esports for the long term, I'll never have that because I bounce around too much. I travel and I have to work. I'm expected to work weekends, right?
That's the thing, right? I don't think like so. Like for me personally, right? Like I don't. I have like a few big orgs, you know, that like I would like to work with full time and stuff, right? But like most of the time, I kind of like the freelance life, not because like I want to be in esports in the next 10 years, but the complete opposite, right? Right now, I'm like, you know, paying myself to go to university, paying myself to live in Scotland, paying all these things, but I don't have a wife or kids, right? Like I want in the next 5 years to be in the complete different industry, you know, from esports. Like I want to be able to just expand all my areas. I don't want to be single-handedly, and that's the thing. I don't think freelancers who are only being freelancers want to only be in esports.
Dude, it all comes down to the person, right? Like you're disagreeing because like for you want your 5-year stint and then you want to fucking book it and try something new.
Yeah.
For me, like I want to be a fucking name, like a family name of esports. Like at the end of the day, like I want people to like fucking be like talking around the dinner table, like, oh, did you see what Nadeshot made today? Yeah. Did you see what DeBurger fucking made? Like that. Like I want to be a fucking like write my name on marble, dude.
I think you can do that as a freelancer.
I think you can. I think it's more challenging. I think you can, and people have done it. Like YouTube proves that day in and day out, right? vloggers are just fucking nobodies with cameras, right? They're just essentially freelancers for them.
Well, once again, it's not the safe thing to do, but that's what we're living for. Like
that's why
that's literally what we're doing.
I think the thing is though, I think that you can be a freelance, be a big name like you're wanting to be. But I mean, like Mick,
you can do it completely solo.
He doesn't want to only be esports, though. I think you can be big in esports as a creative, but also be big and or maybe not as big in other communities as well. I don't think it's especially as a freelance. If you're full time, obviously your full time focus is on esports. But as a freelance, you can do both. Make insane great work for both esports companies and either traditional sports or just corporations.
Right.
I mean, you work with a top end esports team, let's say Team Liquid, for example, but you're also over there doing projects with like Coca-Cola, Pepsi.
Right. You're expanding, but like but your reason for expanding would be different from my reason, which is different from the next, right? Like, so it depends on what your objective is as a freelancer.
It's a personal thing. And
it's very personal. That's why freelance is so cool. Like we're all doing it for different reasons.
Yeah. And I think that's why like the question is kind of like almost like misleading in that sense, because if you're a freelancer, like I would say, is being a freelancer, like safe in only esports, like in the AMC?
No.
Not at
Dude,
all.
being a fucking
But-
freelance wedding videographer is just as dangerous as being an
Yeah,
esports
like,
fucking
if you're a
freelancer, dude.
if
If you're not
freelancer,
getting wedding gigs, you're still gonna fucking starve. It doesn't matter.
but
Look,
like,
look at the
that's thing,
situation
if you're a
right now. People are extending they're like trying to
Yeah.
put their
If you're a
weddings on another
freelancer-
date because of COVID. Like that's what fucks up most of freelancers' lives. Like
Well, if
some
you're a
people have
perfect-
to give up their company just because they're not making enough money right now, and that's why I'm glad I'm just starting that right now. Right, I've been doing it for the past 2 years, and I'm not really that much into it yet. But I feel like if I would have started 5 years ago, and I would have been older, so 23 or something, and I would have been like an established person within esports, and every one of my jobs fell away, I wouldn't have known what to do. So right now, I'm kind of glad that it's happening now, and that we can see from a distance like what's happening and what we should be doing about it if it happens again, because an economic crisis happens in everyone's life.
That's the risk of freelancing, right? Like, and this is the thing that I want freelancers to understand, because I'm all for people going on salary, right? Like, I'm all for full-time jobs, because you never know what's about to happen, right? Like, I could be a freelancer. I could be out working a project. The next thing, my arm breaks and no longer can pick up a camera and no longer work my job. I'm not salarized. Like, I don't have a steady income. Now everything that I spend is my savings. Now, if I sign a contract, I'm on the gig with organization X, and it happens when I'm with them, they still have to pay me my salary by law. Like, so that's the thing. Like, it's very careful that I want to say, because we've been here for like an hour and 7 minutes, as I can see. So I want to very carefully put, if you're a freelancer willingly freelancer, like you can actually live as a freelancer, be very cautious and literally sit and make a pros and cons thing. If you have a job offer, make a pros and cons, because you need to be ready that something in your life can change at any given moment. You can cross the street, you can get hit by a truck, as depressing as that is, or like it's all these small things. You could have a one-night stand, end up having a child. Like which offers a better contract? The risk of how much you earn randomly by X, or a guaranteed like 3,000 a month.
Well, yeah, and I also agree with you. Like, I think that's very well put. And also, I would add into that, like, to be a freelancer, like, you gotta like before you even like start opening commissions, first thing you need to know is yourself. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, what does Mick want out of being a freelancer? Like, for me, freelance was about the freedom to choose my schedule. It was about being able to shoot the content I wanted to shoot. It was the freedom to turn down work, right? Like, salaried, I don't have that. If a sponsor wants a video, you make the video, no matter how much you hate it, right? So you just have to really, if you want to be a freelancer, my tip to people is really know yourself, like, or figure it out. Like, go on that vision quest for yourself, because freelance, I loved my freelance life. And I like it. Like, I like being salaried, of course. Like, who doesn't like a steady paycheck? But I do miss like the upward mobility and the upward potential, like earning potential, right? Like, if I wanted to be really rich, I'd choose freelance. But if I wanted to like be really stable, then I'd go salary, right? Like, it's just all about like look in your heart and know what you want. For me, signing to the Reign was like my gateway into becoming a known figure, right? Like, I took it not because I could make upwards of like a lot of money. I took the, no matter how many videos I make, I'm making the same amount of money, right?
But
the trade-off was the name. The trade-off is like, oh, I'm Danny of the Atlanta. That's it. Like,
what were you gonna say, Colin?
I was just gonna say, I think if you choose to go freelance and you want to be a full-time freelance, you can't just be in esports, in my opinion. I mean, unless you're getting like big-time contracts with like all the time from the big orgs, there's no way. As a freelance, I think your objective needs to be, and this may be wrong, and this is just my opinion, obviously, that you need, like I said, you need to be in other realms, because I mean, the amateur side of things, they just, like you guys said, they don't pay enough.
Well, it's like the stock market, man. Like, you're not going to invest in one stock. I don't invest in one game, and I'm hired to do Overwatch.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
that's just poor investment, right? Like I'm
gotta-
dabbling in Valorant, I'm dabbling in different titles, or dude, like I shoot weddings, like just to mix it up. Like one, it's really good for your creativeness, like just to do something totally outside of what
Yep.
you're used to. But like also like it just like diversify your fucking portfolio. Like if you want to be a freelancer, get
You
used
have
to
to
doing
be
shit
willing
you
to.
don't know.
That's literally
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now, right? I'm doing an internship at a photo studio just to learn studio photography, for
Right.
example. Because going to events
Which is a great fucking skill
one
to
thing,
have.
right? Yeah,
Especially nowadays.
like yeah, but going to events is one thing. You have shit lighting, you don't know how to work with lights or anything. And then going into a studio is something completely different. But every organization wants headshots, and every organization's wants like content and everything in front of a green screen or anything. I feel like I've picked up so many skills in the photo studio by just being able to work with lights. That has given me a shit ton of advantage compared to other people that are only doing events right now. And the same with doing, like, Danny, you have done commercials as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did.
I mean, shooting
like,
products for commercials is so different from anything esports, dude.
Yeah.
oh my god,
True.
It's
Well, I did a
crazy.
6-month internship at a commercials company as well, and we did like the bigger names, Calvin Klein,
Yeah.
Tommy Hilfiger, everything like that, Uber Eats. But I've learned so many things about production that you wouldn't be able to see if you're just working as a photographer at an event. Like if you want to get started in one business or anything, try out the other things as well.
Yeah, I mean,
especially
you
if
gotta
you
have your
have
eggs in more than one basket. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
If you have the
Especially if you're choosing
opportunity-
And
esports.
this is exactly like you need not only your skills but like what Cluxer said in chat, like networking, right?
Networking is the biggest thing.
Any industry for a creative person is networks. Your portfolio backs you up a good bit, but
It's about who you fucking know.
everything's
It is
who-
about, dude, like literally when I go to an event, the first thing I do is talk to every single motherfucker who I know on Twitter. That's the
Yeah.
first thing I do is build and cement those relationships that I've created.
I mean, like
If you fucking like my tweet and you were at the Atlanta FaZe homestand, I fucking made sure to find you. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's just building connections. Even like and with zero agenda, right?
Yeah.
Like zero agenda. Like genuinely go out and make a fucking friend.
yeah, and like
And it'll
can just-
serve you for fucking years. More than anything else, like more than the greatest portfolio is like, dude,
Great
like you could
portfolio.
have you could literally have like the Michael Bay of fucking portfolios, but if like your Twitter makes you sound like a dick, I'm not gonna hire you.
Yeah.
Like if I've never
Oh.
heard of you and like I'm watching your video, I'm like, wow, this is really good. Like that's a really good video. And then I read that you're like just the biggest dickhead. I'm not gonna hire you. I don't want to work with that.
Yeah, shaking
I'd rather
a hand
hire the
is
guy
so
that's like
much
half
different.
decent, but at least a good person.
Yeah.
and it's something that is quite like overlooked, but I feel like we've made up for Cluxer's pizza eating at the start before we could go live.
Sorry, guys.
So I do want to close it here in the next like 2 minutes, right? So we're sticking to the 1 hour mark, 1 hour 15. So I like, it's been interesting, right? Because like what I can tell from this is so many different things is, everything from collegiate over here and what we need to do on the European side. I don't know if you like agree with that, Cluxer. Like,
Yeah,
like
for
in
sure.
the UK, all it is a scam market, a con market in universities and collegiate programs.
We don't even
right?
have anything like it.
And that's now something I actually want to take with me, right? Like I want to come like end this and like almost create a deck on like why colleges and universities need to actually like what they need to change and what they have to help, right? So
But don't use the whole ninja thing, because I mean that's an impractical.
no,
That's
you're
like
right.
I mean-
I'll use Shroud instead.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it,
yeah, exactly.
maybe it does work
Pay
for like
$10 million a month to stream on Mixer.
no, it does
Like,
work for the older people that look at the news.
Expectations going in. That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought like, and I didn't mention this, but I wanted to. People like seeing something start from the beginning and move and progress over time to something amazing.
It's the most soul thing. Last Chance U. Have you ever seen the analytics of Last Chance U? The progression of these are a football team that are in a state that nobody cares about, right? Last Chance U.
Yeah, Mississippi, right?
International show. Everyone around the world now knows this, and it's Mississippi.
Yeah,
Like,
I
who
mean,
the hell
like,
know? I don't
people
even know
love
where that is on a
underdogs.
map.
It's like a story told through time. People love a story to where they're not. It's not obviously not like the most. I want like most respected or like the people who are probably gonna win, but they love the storytelling behind
Just an
the
underdog story.
people. Yeah, they just love that story because it gives them hope. Hope is probably one of like the biggest emotions that like
people
impacts
Even if you look
life.
at governments right now, all they want to create is hope, and
Exactly. I mean,
especially with like COVID going on and everything, hope is the one thing people can like hold on to. And
Yeah.
if you lose hope, it's gonna go to shit.
President
Everything is
Snow
gonna
in
go to
Hunger
shit.
Games said it best. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear.
Yeah, probably.
But it's like
that
so
note,
true.
I feel like
On
hope
that
is the
note-
strongest emotion there is.
Nah,
just-
listen, right? We're not getting into emotions. None
Oh,
of
let's
us are
yeah, you
therapists,
want to get into
right?
love, don't you? Yeah,
Danny,
I know.
Shout out yourself. Tell us where people can find you, where they can find your work, what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, like
Nah,
people.
we're ending it here. We're
I'm
no
just saying.
therapists.
You're
People
finally
like
getting
it.
your
I like
moment.
it. You
They can
motivated my
start from
day,
nothing
man.
and get to the top.
I agree. You start from scratch. Be a kid from backwoods New Jersey and make something of yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. So yeah, to close it out, one, I want to thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I know our views don't always agree, but that's like why I love talking to people. I think we need more of that
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, more
boundaries.
podcasts need to stop being echo chambers and just start fucking
Yeah.
disagreeing because I think it's hilarious. So pro tip: start a podcast and just get somebody to argue with.
Or just keep
anyway,
watching ours.
where you can
Nick?
find me.
I'm disagreeing with you.
Every episode, dude. Every episode.
Designers.
We actually disagree with Mick all the
What do
time.
you do? I'll do graphics.
Oh.
Okay,
my
let's give
gosh.
Danny the word again.
My whole Twitter feed is now just death threats.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Don't even talk about it. Anywho, yeah. Thank you guys for having me. If anybody wants to follow me, I'm at DeBurger, DAHBERGER, on every single social media platform. I stream pretty much every day. I make videos for the Atlanta Reigns, so give them a follow. But yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Was a
Hopefully,
blast. Thank
you know,
for
in
coming
10
on.
years
It was
that
great.
people will remember my name and I won't be burned out.
I'll remember your name.
We will for sure.
Oh, I
man.
appreciate you guys.
Okay,
And-
so to close it off today, first of all, just a small piece of advice to everyone who's trying to get started with creative stuff.
Just start.
Just
No.
make shit.
No. That's something that I wanted to say earlier is get an internship. Try stuff out. And it doesn't matter if you don't get paid. I'm not getting paid right now for my internship. Just do it because it will give you the reward you're looking for. And sometimes you just have to do it and live on a smaller budget. With that being said, we will be back next week with a new guest. We actually have one lined up already. We're not going to announce it yet. It's going to be announced on Twitter.
It'll be a very funny podcast.
With
I
that
can
being
Yeah,
said,
for sure.
I
We
am
know who it is,
for
and
internship now, so hit my line. Just saying. Taking offers. Thank you.
God damn it, Colin.
next podcast is going
I
to
am
be
an
something
iPhone
else, guys.
Photographer slash
Oh my
videographer.
God, okay.
Shut up.
slash
Okay.
Everyone, in chat,
designer.
everyone who watched, thank you for stopping by. You know, it's our 3rd episode. I can't wait for the 10th episode. It's it's a passion project until we get sponsors, and then we'll be completely biased like every other organization in the industry. You know how it is, chat.
Hey, dude, I gotta
but
pay
yeah,
my bills, dude.
like
You know what
Cluxer
I'm
said, don't be
saying?
afraid to take internships, right? You know, they're very progressive. They're also great for contacts, especially you'd be surprised at how many contacts people in the industry who aren't known, as they say, have, right? They can be best friends with all these org owners.
Yeah.
I
So
don't.
don't be
I've
afraid.
never been to an event.
Especially right now. What do you have to lose? You know, COVID's there, you're stuck inside. You know, take on a new skill. There's some great websites there that will help you.
Skillshare.
And yeah, thank you for stopping by. But we've been over an hour once again. We're really bad at keeping that
Hey,
hour.
Yeah.
look, I'm gonna
We'd be
pay
fired
you
on
at
a
least
heartbeat
not an
if
hour
we
and a
were
half
for
like
that
last time.
continue. Hey, that's
No.
true.
Okay.
So,
Anyway,
yeah.
we will be back at 8 p.m. British summertime. Finally saying it the right way. Next week on Saturday, so tune in then. And yeah, just follow us on our social medias, Twitter. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And see you guys next week.